Hello, welcome to Old Nerd Reads' Marvel Comics in Order. This is episode 62. This time I read Fantastic Four 176, the November 1976 issue. My copy, pretty nice condition, probably very fine plus even. It's not stained much, a little bit up here. Cover's pretty nice. Pages, a little yellowed, but not bad. This is kind of an offbeat issue. As we go through it, you'll see. But it's by Roy Thomas, George Perez back on art with Joe Sinnott. We had a couple, 3 issues now that were drawn by John Buscema. And now George Perez is back. And he's just in time for a real cornball issue of Fantastic Four. So they've been out in space fighting Galactus. The Thing is now the Thing again. He's been wearing a Thing suit because his powers had gone away after being exposed to the gamma rays of the Hulk about 10 issues back now. But Galactus blasted him with some sort of energy bolt, and now he's reverted back to the Thing. And he doesn't seem to be too upset about it. He says he's more upset for Alicia Masters, his girlfriend, than he is for himself. But kind of anticlimactic. They had like a dozen issues where he wasn't the Thing anymore, and he got to live a happy life, got to be human with his girlfriend, and yeah, nothing really came of it. Just all of a sudden now he's back. It's just. Yeah, a little disappointing. Thought maybe something more would happen, but it's all right. It's good. We got George Perez back at least. But anyway, while they're out in space, they ended up with the Impossible Man. The Impossible Man, I guess, hasn't been around in a decade or so. He'd shown up in some early issues of the Fantastic Four by Stan Lee and Jack Kirby and hasn't been seen since. But Roy Thomas decided he was going to bring him back during their outer space adventure. And he's hitched a ride back to Earth with the Fantastic Four. And chaos ensues. Once they touch down in New York, he takes off into the city on an adventure. And he ends up... This is just like almost like a Mad Magazine version of the Fantastic Four. It's like a comedy issue. So the Impossible Man, they're trying to get back to the Baxter Building after they land their ship in the park in New York City. And on their way, the Impossible Man ends up at Marvel Comics. He ends up at the Marvel Comics offices. And so while he's there, he runs into the bullpen. So you've got Jack Kirby, you've got George Perez, Roy Thomas, Stan Lee. The Impossible Man sees all the comic books that they make. Now, apparently, at some point, this must have happened before where the comic books made an appearance in the Fantastic Four, I'm assuming, because apparently they're making comic books based on the heroes, but they're supposed to be based on the actual adventures that the heroes have gone on. And so since the Fantastic Four had been out in space, Roy Thomas is talking to Stan Lee that why don't I just make up stories about the Fantastic Four? I mean, they're gone. They can't tell us what they've been up to, so we've still got to publish the comic book. Why don't I just make up stories? And Stan Lee's like, heck no, you can't be doing that. But anyway, that's interrupted when the Impossible Man shows up and starts mimicking the powers of the heroes that he sees in the comic books and here, the bullpen... Okay, so this is the letters page, Baxter Building Bulletins. But this time there's no letter, it's just Roy Thomas wrote this piece about why they did this issue. I guess he'd been wanting to do this Impossible Man story for a while, and he wanted to do this comedy issue, give the Impossible Man like a spotlight basically, and have it be this comedy piece. And a whole bunch of things came together. Like he asked Jack Kirby to draw the cover, And Jack Kirby vaguely remembered the Impossible Man character, but I guess like the Impossible Man having Iron Man's gauntlet and Thor's hammer was Jack's idea, and then it ended up being in the story because Roy Thomas thought it was a good idea. It's pretty neat. Look behind the scenes of the making of this issue, but now the Impossible Man goes on his adventure through the Marvel offices, and more of the bullpen shows up. Here's John reporting. Who else shows up here? The Fantastic Four show up to stop the Impossible Man, and chaos ensues. They fight. One of the gags was the Impossible Man douses the Human Torch's flame with a hose that he turns his hand into. He smacks the Thing with Thor's hammer. Let's see who else shows up. I think this is Marie Severin. She calls this person Jim, but I have no idea who that is. Maybe Jim Shooter. He's an associate editor. I think he's an associate editor at this point. Here's Archie Goodwin. And there's always pictures on the wall. Conan, there's the Human Torch, Red Sonja, Doctor Strange. I'm not sure who this is with this funky hat on. It might be Marv Wolfman. I think this is John Romita. And then here's everyone. I think this is Gary Conway. But here you have just about everybody in the bullpen in that panel. But then someone comes up with a newspaper headline. Or not a headline, an ad in the newspaper. Oh, here they have to threaten They have to threaten, the Thing has to threaten Stan Lee to give the Impossible Man like a bit in a comic book. And Stan Lee, he doesn't want to do it. He doesn't want to give the Impossible Man any free publicity after he's destroyed the Marvel offices. But the Thing threatens him to do it, which, calms I guess the object is to calm down the Impossible Man so he'll behave and not destroy the place anymore. Stan Lee reluctantly agrees to it. But then somebody shows the Fantastic Four an ad in the paper. And we find out, now we're going to switch gears, and we find out that the Frightful Four, down to 3 members, has taken over the Baxter Building while the FF was out in space. And they're holding auditions for a 4th member. They're going to hire a 4th member to round out the Frightful Four, and they're in the Baxter Building now. They've taken it over. But here's one of the best gags right here. After convincing Stan Lee to do an Impossible Man comic, the Fantastic Four leave, and then Stan Lee says he didn't mean it. He wasn't gonna give the Impossible Man any comic book because Marvel Comics hasn't got time to waste on silly looking characters while he's right in front of a picture of Howard the Duck. So that's the end of this issue. It was a good segue from their outer space adventure the last few issues back home to planet Earth with the Impossible Man, giving him a little solo spotlight of him being crazy and a bunch of comedy, and then segue back into the serious stuff, a big fight with the Frightful Four, which is going to happen next issue. So that's it. If anybody has any insight behind this issue of Fantastic Four and the making of this special issue, this special Impossible Man spotlight issue, please comment it down below. I'm sure there's more behind the scenes stuff than I was able to dig up on it. And otherwise, like, share, and subscribe. I really appreciate you watching. I'll see you next time.